No change happens on a collective level without happening on an individual level.
Life's a coat of many colors. It is never black and white. Can't have one without the other. The dark without the light.
What up, y'all? What it do? I'm Miss Indigo Blue. Thank you for stopping here through to my channel, Zen Mother's Garden. On this channel, we do tarot readings for the full moon and new moon, monthly love and money readings, as well as the channel chit chat. We will also do weekly guidance messages. This happens to be the weekly guidance message for the week of June 1st through June 7th of 2020. So we're going to jump right into this. We are going to use some oracle decks in order to guide us after the channeled message is received. There's a lot occurring right now in the world where all of us are seeing change. We are seeing people rise up for what they believe in. We're seeing people take action for what they believe in. We're seeing what seemingly was a strong hand become a weaker and weaker hand, and we're seeing this on a daily, some of us hourly, some of us minutely basis. Some of us are coming front to front with it. Some of us are seeing it on TV. Some of us are hearing about it from our neighbor. But we are all being greatly affected. And for so long, we've heard people saying that saying, to be the change that you want to see in the world. We heard Michael Jackson sing about the man in the mirror. And that's because no change happens on a collective level without happening on an individual level. So when I say that in order for the whole thing to change, we individually have to change. We individually have to contribute our part to the changing of the frequency. Those who do not change with the frequency will get consumed by the previous flow. You can't force yourself to stay somewhere where there's no beat for it. It's like being inside of a heart that has no blood flow. It's like being inside of a brain that has no electricity. It's like being in an empty room all alone, or even with some other people who are also in an empty room, and y'all are just looking at each other because you don't know what to do, because you've caused yourself to be lost in limbo. So we want to work on making sure that we change our frequency if necessary, so that we don't get caught up in the left behind. So it's going to require you and I to do some self-evaluation. For a lot of us, this is not a re-evaluation. A lot of us is not really taking the time to sit down and truly look at ourselves on both spectrums. We might sit down and we might celebrate ourselves. We might sit down and sometimes beat ourselves up, but we've never probably really looked at ourselves as a whole. So I'm going to ask that you pause this video, grab a notebook and a pen, and write down these questions that I'm going to deliver to you here in just a moment, so that you can ask them of yourself for the beginning of the week, because a very important day comes in on Friday, which is a full moon on June 5th, and it's also a lunar eclipse. So if you haven't already started working on some of these things, you're going to end up getting bombarded by them and then being really frustrated and stressed out, and that's something that we want to avoid. So grab your pen and paper and let's go. So number one, let's look at things kind of dependent on how old you are. So if you're kind of younger, a younger adult, 18 to early 20s, look at your last 6 years. If you are in your late 20s, early 30s, look at your last 12 years. If you're in your late 30s, early 40s, look at your last 18 to 24 years. And if you're older than that, look at your last 24 years. And really take a look at your timeline. The first question I want you to ask yourself is, what does my timeline look like? And I really want you to evaluate some things. Evaluate where you were 24 years ago and then compare it to where you are now. Are you doing better or are you doing worse? Is the world around you doing better or is the world around you doing worse? Are you within the frequency of what's happened around you, or are you doing better or are you doing worse? Some of the other questions will help you to determine some of these things. How has your vibration changed? Are you in tune with your vibration? Do you know when you are having low vibrational moments? Do you know when you're having high vibrational moments? Because a lot of things that people tell us are low vibrational, like when you got an attitude, when you're supposed to have an attitude because somebody is trying to come at you in the wrong manner, and you are protecting yourself and you are responding accordingly. Some people say, oh, you're not supposed to let nobody take you off your square. Da, da, da. Don't let nobody make you not act like yourself. But don't let nobody push you down, knock you out either. So, that being said, do you understand when your vibration is high and when your vibration is low? Because we're not steady beings. We're not always like this. We go up and down. So be honest with yourself. And is it more often high or is it more often lower? And is it something that you want to change or is it something that you want to continue? If you're a parent, this question is for you. How have your children come out? How have my children come out? That's something I want you to look at. Are your children happy? And then we're not going to measure success based on world standards. We're going to measure success based on happiness, love. Are they loved? Are they giving love? All of those types of things versus how rich they might be or if they're the boss. Now, if they are doing these things and it's something that makes them happy, they love their job, that means that they're in their energy signature, then that's different. But if it's someone who does their job but they really don't like to do their job, although it pays well, then weigh that out. Okay? And look at them and see what energy signatures did you pass on to them. So, what energy signatures did I pass along? Look at your children and see really what parts of them are actually total reflections of you, and what parts of them are parts of them that are totally just themselves. Were you as a parent in opposition to your children being themselves? Were you as a parent in opposition to your children having their own minds, their own thoughts, and their own ideas? This is something you need to evaluate. Were you someone who encouraged your children? Do your children feel like you were there for them? This is something that you need to look inside yourself and think about. You can also look at it, and especially if you don't have children, and how this happens to play out in your own life in regard to your parents. What does your friend circle look like? This is a very important one because especially if you're looking at 18 and 24 years, your friend circle has probably dramatically changed. For some people, it hasn't. They found their crew when they were young and they stayed crew and they always gonna be crew, and that's what's up. But for most people, the people who you were friends with 18 years ago are not the same people who you are friends with now. But some of us have to look at some things. Oh, I got money. I made it to this neighborhood. And now I'm rubbing elbows with the hoity-toity well-to-dos. But I had so much more fun with my old friends. Like, we had real conversations. And we did stuff for each other. And it just felt so much more real. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're going to take a look back and you're going to go, oof, I was getting in trouble. They was getting in trouble. We were up to no good. You know, now I'm living a life that's full of righteousness, and a life that's full of love and laughter. I have a family, I'm a good provider. You'll see how far along you've come, and you'll see what type of roles the people have played in that. You might even find a moment where you really take a look at a relationship that ended in between there or began in between there at some point, and how it really shaped your life to go in a different direction. That's something very important to take a look at. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, what have I been told about myself, my family, my employer, the place where you work? What things have you been told about those places that you have added on to your energy signature? So there's some things that we'll hear about our family, like good or bad, ooh, you come from a real nice family, y'all, and you'll adopt that energy signature on, and you'll either feel like you've lived up to that standard, or you haven't. And then there's some people that, ooh, you one of them so and so's. Oh, okay. And you know what that okay means? Like, yeah, because y'all known for trouble. And have you lived up to that energy signature or not? What about the place where you work? Is the place where you work one of the highest paying places in your environment that you live in? Does that mean that you can't deal with certain people of your family or certain friends that you used to deal with because they are putting your job and things in danger? Are you separating yourself from people who you love to keep your money safe and things of that nature? And even things that people have said about you. Oh, you're so wise, or you're so smart, or you're so funny. Were you told that you were funny and you became a comedian? Were you told that you were smart and you became a microbiologist? What were the things that were spoken into your life, good and bad, that you took on and placed into your energy signature? Because sometimes the things that we add onto our original energy signature are just spoken words. And I'm going to go deeply into that, because thoughts and words are things, and they're messages that we send up to the creator. And the creator has to take this message and then respond to it. And often what comes back down is not what we expect to come back down, because we haven't formulated that message correctly, or it's just an ill message that got sent, so we got an ill response. Another topic for another day. So what have you been told about yourself or your place of work or your family that you have adopted onto your own energy signature? The next question is, how many of your childhood dreams are you living? What would the 8-year-old you say to you? I would like for you to visit the 8-year-old you and ask the 8-year-old you if the 8-year-old you is proud of the current day you. Are you living out your childhood dreams? Exactly how many of them do you even remember? How many of them have you attempted? How many of them do you have plans for? I would think that if we came up with, say, 10 things that as a child I really remember, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, I wanted to live like this, I wanted to have this, I wanted to go there. 10 things, possibly. As many as you can come up with. But if you come up with 10 and you've only done 4, make yourself some type of goal to create a plan to do at least 3 of them. Now, if your energy signature has changed and the things that you wanted to do when you were young was ratchet stuff with your friends because it's fun, then maybe you can say, little me, I'm so glad you grew up. And I'm so thankful that you changed. And then you can just create some new things with the 8-year-old you. Sit down, Indian style, with 8-year-old you in front of you and talk it out. What are the new things that we are going to put on the list, 8-year-old me? Because we're not doing righteous stuff no more. Okay? And the last question that I want you to ask yourself is, how can I change the narrative going further? Now, this is a question that you only need answer yourself if you haven't started working on your narrative already, or if you find that you need to change your current narrative, that you know where you planned on being at this age, you're not enjoying your life, you are not being as responsible as you thought you would be. The 8-year-old you was huffing and puffing and stomping and upset because you haven't done not one thing on their list yet. How do you change that narrative going forward? And I know there's so much going on in the world right now that you're like, you really want me to sit down and think about this when all of this is happening? Yes, because we have to individually change the frequency. The people who are protesting are helping to create, I want to say, a new narrative, because the numbers and the percentage changes in the diversity is something new, although it's something that we've seen over and over. But there's still some people hanging on to that old energy signature. The thing about it right now is that it's coming out like trick no good. Like, everything that's being attempted is being exposed. And no longer are there a bunch of people in robot mode just willing to accept what you are feeding them. Like, the truth is coming out. Oh, that was a setup. Oh, that was fixed. Oh, that was fake. Is happening all too often and being uncovered oh so quickly. So that's how you know there's a new frequency coming in. Trick no good. There's a certain portion of the population that is still asleep that doesn't get spoken to very often. And I do plan to, within the next couple of days, speak to that population. Because the thing about one population in this country that's greatly focused upon is that there was a sense of togetherness coming about. And you could almost feel like the things that have happened as of late were attempts to break that togetherness up. But it won't happen because of the wokeness. But there still seems to be a certain portion of our collective that are asleep. And they're asleep like Sleeping Beauty. And don't even know that they're asleep. Don't recognize that they are zombies walking around. And it's probably not the portion of the population that you think right now, unless we right here. So we're going to go ahead and get into the oracle cards and see what guidance messages we can bring out that can help us get through these questions, get through these times, and definitely when we bounce into that full moon eclipse, how we can keep ourselves from getting stressed out. So we're going to go to the Wild Kuan Yin, my best friend, and we're going to see what information does this oracle deck have for us for the week of June 1st through the 7th, 2020 as a collective. Grace in Full Flight. This is the number 13 card. The number 4, which is stability. Grace in Full Flight reads, within you is a sacred rebel, one who dares to dream of more beautiful world. You believe in inspiration and you trust in hope. How I adore that dreaming, daring, hopeful heart of yours. With my help, your heart can grow wings and soar. Your time has come. So again, this is saying that the doors of the current world are open and ready for you to go and do what is necessary for you to stay in vibration with the coming time. So if you need to heal yourself, if you need to congratulate yourself, if there's someone who you need to forgive, all of these things are going to, there will be opportunities made easy for these things to happen for you. Whether you come across someone who teaches you something about sigils or something about writing letters and destroying them, or you come across that person in real time, the opportunity is definitely going to be at hand, making it so much easier for these things to get done. There's a time when it is time. Your time. It's the right time for an idea to come to fruition, for something miraculous and yet tangible and concrete to happen. Something is finally coming to life in you, in your world. And that's another thing. All too often, we don't realize that the world is ours. You know, the song was, the world is mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this? It's yours. It's mine. This is our world. And we are here to shape this world. So if you look at every single action that you carry out as a moment that shaped the world in some type of way, whether it's just shaping the world individually or if it ends up shaping the world collectively, you still are shaping that moment of time and that piece of this world. And so when you are given these moments, we have to ask ourselves, what are we? What have we been doing with them? Went to a homegoing service for my cousin today. Every word spoken about her was beautiful, and every word spoken about her was true. Sometimes we go to homegoing services and we like, it sounds nice, but we know it doesn't really apply. You don't want to be that person who has the people in the audience going, I'm just here because he my cousin on my mama's side, third removed, and she couldn't come, so she told me somebody from the family had to be here. When you go, you want to also know that, one, you've completed your mission, but you've also done the living that you wanted to do here, and that you didn't contribute to the inhumane things that were happening here, because it's just the consequences and repercussions are so heavy. And so some of us naturally and easily walk into that position. Some of us don't ever have to be woke up. Some of us don't ever have to learn or change our ways. None of us are perfect. None of us can always do right. But there's just some of us who naturally do more right than wrong. And so, that being said, when we lose those types of people, it's an oxymoron, because physically we don't want them to be gone, but we know that because their spirit was so on high, that the 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 place where they get to go when they leave here has to be beautiful, because of the beauty that they are taking with them. And when you can feel like that about a person, then you know you've met someone whose energy signature is one that is high vibrational, one of love, one of care, one that is irreplaceable and one that is one of a kind. And I believe that's one of the things that we all should strive to do. We want to strive here, leave here knowing that the impact that we made on this place is one of greatness, one of love, and one that cannot be duplicated. Okay? So, what do we have to do in our current lives to make sure that happens? Not everyone's supposed to be famous. Not everyone's supposed to be well known. It might just be your neighborhood that knows how great you are. It might just be your family that knows how great you are. But the people who are put in front of you are the people who should know, because that is the network that you are given to work with. You can always stretch yourself and stretch your network beyond that if you wish, but make sure that you're able to maintain that positive energy flow when you're stretching yourself. You don't want to stretch yourself to a place where you feel so stressed or overworked that people are now looking at you and saying, "Who is this?" Right? So, we're going to pull some of the Heal Yourself reading cards. We're going to pull 2 of these from the shuffle deck, and we get 23, Patience, and 22, Have Faith. So those 2 are right in order. Have faith, and patience. Have faith reads, to generate more faith, focus on the why. Your dreams, desires, feelings, attitudes, and thinking are not on the how. Action plans, strategies, and skills. Your whole life, you have been taught to think about the how, which leads to doubt and fear. The wisdom of this card is asking you to focus only on the why. Because when you're focusing on the why, you're focusing on the purpose. You're focusing that creates your intent. Your intent is to fulfill the purpose, not in a certain time frame, not in a certain way, not in. I'm focused on the purpose. And when you stay focused on the purpose, it's like that old saying, keep your eyes on the prize. And so you won't come up with doubt and you won't come up with fear, because you'll be letting your intuition lead you. You'll be taking your first judgment and you'll know that it's the right thing to do, and you'll just be acting accordingly because you are doing things on purpose. The magic that will happen if you stop focusing on the low and only on the how and only on the why is that after some time of practice, you will notice that the how will present itself to you. So it'd be like magically, right? You'll be on your intuition, you'll be focusing on the why, and the answers of how to do it will just come to you. Like, I don't know how I knew how to do this. I just knew to do this. I just heard to do this and I just did it, and it worked, right? It is through your focused positive thinking that you will create people, circumstances, and events that will take you closer to your dreams. So again, we're back talking about how easy this week is going to be for you to be in passing with the people who you need to be in passing with, to either rectify something from the past or to create something new for the future. What you have mostly done is to focus on the how, which has made you doubt yourself. This means that you are vibrating negative thoughts into the universe, keeping your dreams away. Remember, you were created to be a co-creator here on earth, designed for achievement. Faith is knowing that everything is going to work out the best way possible, no matter what things look like. And patience. And patience is something that a lot of people are afraid of. People are like, oh, when I ask for patience, the trials and the tribulations that I went through were, oh. And so this often becomes a virtue that many are afraid to receive. Patience does not mean that you give up and do nothing. On the contrary, you need to be aware of several aspects of the circumstance that you are facing. Patience requires you to stop pushing, rushing, and creating potentially explosive situations. Instead, it asks you to see the bigger picture and become aware of the ingredients that might be missing. So I believe that's why I was led to have the list of questions wrote out and to start getting answers to those questions, because in order to fix an issue, if there is an issue, you have to know that there's an issue and understand what the issue is. It's just like a car. You can be like, my car is putt-putting, I don't know what's wrong. You take it to the mechanic looks at it and he says that there's something wrong with your radiator. Well, if there's something wrong with your radiator, buying a new water pump ain't gonna fix your problem. You can have the new water pump and it'll still do the water pump things probably better than the older water pump, but it's not gonna do those things that the radiator does. And so you have to identify the problems in order to face them head on. If you are impatient with a particular person, instead give them space. It's amazing that that comes out. I, for one, can feel it. If you can relate to that, definitely comment below. But my thing, I'm going to use this as an example because a lot of people, we have this going on, I believe. When you give somebody instructions to do something and you kind of already conducted this plan in your head, and the person comes up with their own thing that they're going to do that's not in flow with what you're trying to do, and it's not like they're purposely trying to throw you off course or anything like that, because they will voice to you what it is that they're getting ready to do. Oh, well, instead I think I might try da 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 da, and you're like, no, do blah 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 because we're on a certain time frame or something like that. So you can do things like give them words other than them trying to, now what feels like them forcing their idea onto you, that make you stop and think, and then you can stop and contemplate on what they are saying, and you can decide to either let them know that not this time, we're going to go with the original plan, and explain to them why, because they deserve an understanding, because their thoughts and their wants and their things that they are coming up with and dreaming up with deserve a chance to be molded too. And by making them do only what it is that you want for them to do, then they have to throw away what it is that they just generated from within their own mind or their own, I'm hearing the word soul, and so they have to sort of turn their back on their own idea in order to fulfill your idea. But if in doing that, you let them know that you understand that that's what they're having to go through, and that next time you will hope to be able to incorporate their idea, but you're not making any promises, especially when we're working with children, because they have all these ideas. But you can kind of be like, not this time because blah blah blah, but maybe if the next thing that you think about, we can try to incorporate that and actually try to do it. Like, okay, that doesn't sound like such a bad idea. Let them try it. And then sometimes let them try things also that is not going to work, but just because their mind came up with it. You are, of course, being encouraged to have patience this week. Avoid jumping to conclusions and making up dramatic stories about a person or situation without being aware of all the details. You have an opportunity to let go of judgment. Always look for the truth of the situation, not what someone is saying or doing, but why. Well, it's very important to have patience and wait it out. Let that person come to you and explain to you exactly where it is that they are coming from, exactly why it is. And if they're not willing to explain, then you have to kind of take it upon yourself first to say, it's not the way that I would have gone about doing things. They did this, and can you understand why? If you just absolutely, for the life of you, cannot understand why, then it maybe will be important to sit down with that person and tell them, like, I know that you do things differently than I do. I just can't put it together in my mind why you decided to do this. And ask them, can you please explain it to me? Patients can also be connected to a health condition you are recovering from, a new diet or an exercise program you have embarked on, or a new course of study you may have begun. So that was a little extra added word to the whys. And so we're now going to go ahead and pull our Angel Oracle cards to see what other things we can do to help us to be successful this week. We'll pull 3 of these cards, and then we'll pull a couple Earth Magic cards, and that will conclude the reading. I would love for you all to let me know if making this list of questions and answering them actually helped you. It doesn't have to be the week of June 1st through the 7th. If you come across this reading, then maybe that's an exercise that you were to come across, so that journey is one that you can embark upon. That was a weird little feeling there to the deck. So the first card that came out is sensitivity. Archangel Haniel, you are extra sensitive to the energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. So don't throw your feelings away, but have patience with yourself and have patience with others, knowing that you're extra sensitive to what other people are doing, that you are going to be more highly inclined to have an outburst or a big reaction, something that you wouldn't normally have. And so you have to have faith in yourself that you can control your energies. Maybe take a look at how your vibration is changed, and especially when you're talking to the young you, when you are self-evaluating, so that you can determine if you've lost faith in yourself. When and where did that happen? And how can you get it back? And be sensitive to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. That is not what this is about. You do have to be honest with yourself, but you should not be tearing yourself down. Don't blame anyone else. If they played a part in it, accept their part in it, but then accept the fact that you chose to adopt it onto your own signature, energy signature yourself. Because no one can force anything into your energy signature unless you are willing to receive it. The next card that came out is Moon Cycles. So, of course, come Friday again, we have a full moon eclipse. This is happening on June 5th. This is Archangel Haniel again. Notice how the moon affects your energy and manifestations, and capitalize upon these cycles. This new system of doing things where you create the things in the new moon, then you really put power in manifestation there in that week in between the new moon and the full moon, and then you give thanks. And if this is the way that you've been doing it, I just maybe took it incorrectly all these times that I've heard it before. I didn't really feel like it was a 3-step process, and so many steps that can be put into those 3 steps, right? So I didn't really feel like it was a 3-section process, but more of a 2-section process. I felt like the working with all of those phases of the moon was um beautiful. And then like that next moon that goes in between those moons, you can kind of rest and let the universe work its magic and do what it's doing, right? So work with all of the phases of the moon, not just 2, because there's power in each phase of the moon. Okay. And the last card that came out is Gifts from God. Archangel Sandalphon. We angels bring you gifts from your creator. Open your arms to receive. Okay, so then we just talked about that, and the full moon is coming. So the things that you have been working on, and the things that you created, and the things that you have manifested, then yes, now it's time to say thank you for them, allowing them to come to fruition. Thank you for allowing me to receive them. And then on that, as that next moon comes in, just rest and allow God and the angels to do the work that's necessary for you to get all that they have to offer you. So the moon, excuse me, earth magic oracle cards, says what this deck cover looks like. Oh, came right out. Okay, so the cards that came out are Green Man Synergy, Cave Sanctuary, and Iceberg Submerged. So the Green Man Synergy is, again, just speaking on being able to stay in vibration with the planet. As the planet increases its vibration, you cannot maintain a low vibration and then still make it in the realm as the realm is moving. So look to that list, look into your side yourself, and see if it's necessary for you to raise your vibration, which we can all always raise our vibration. We can all always raise our vibration. All of us, every one of us. None of us are perfect. All of us have flaws. So, what things can you possibly take out of your life, and what things could you possibly put into your life that can increase your vibration? Whether it's something simple like the healing book suggested at the end, like changing your diet, changing your exercise regimen, and things of that nature. Get your heart beating a little bit faster, get your blood flowing a little bit faster, get your circulation right, get your system cleansed out, stop eating so much food that makes you feel heavy. But most importantly, how are you treating yourself? How are you treating other people? The cave sanctuary comes out. So again, we're creating this list. We need to take a little bit of alone time. We need to make sure that we're not looking at anybody else but ourselves. How are we exercising our faith? What things right now are possibly happening in our life that is exercising our patience? Are we recognizing that patience is virtue and patience is a gift from God? Although it is one that often takes us through trying times in order for us to receive it. Sometimes you receive things easier because the work that you have done is so much that you put into something that you receive the reward easily. But sometimes it's something that we haven't focused on or understood that it's necessary for us to focus on having, so we haven't concentrated on it. Therefore, we haven't put in any work on it. And so, therefore, when it's time for us to have it and it's necessary for us to have it, that learning lesson comes about, and we have to go through those trials and tribulations in order to receive that reward. And sometimes we have to do it more than once, over and over again, but hopefully not too many times. And then we have the iceberg and submerged. And I feel like this card is telling you to not harden your heart to the lesson. These lessons are necessary. Do not harden your heart to yourself. Do not get frustrated with yourself. Do not get frustrated with other people. Do not get frustrated with the circumstances that are going on in this world. Do not let things that are attempting to provoke you to anger cause you to harden your heart. Keep your heart soft and keep your heart focused on one purpose, which is love. Love of self, love of others, love of what you do, love of who you are, love of how you are, love of who they are, love of how they are, love of where you are. Just love it all. Find the love in it. Find the one piece of it that makes you smile and make that piece grow and outshine any portion of it that could make you upset, overly sensitive, or overly frustrated. So I love you and I thank you so much for tuning in. Your message right now is to be grace in flight, right? When you think of something that's in flight and it has grace, it's light, it's airy, it flows naturally, right? So that's what we want to do. Again, I love you and I thank you so much. I'm Miss Indigo Blue. If you want a personal reading, you can contact me at zenmothersgarden.com or email me at mib@zenmothersgarden.com. You can also shop my spiritual toolbox at zmgshop.com. See you next time.